So every few weeks, someone will come up to me and say, "You're the Kevin Bacon of the film industry in Washington." And I laugh it off because I never think that I'm really the big shark in this picture at all. But what it does prove to me is that the work I've been doing over the past 9 years has been paying off slowly. And that work is to build a community, build a pond where all the filmmakers can play and cooperate and collaborate and not just compete. Listen, I am not a great filmmaker, contrary to what my mother or my publicist might have you believe. I see great filmmaking. I watch hundreds of films a year, and I know what great is. And I don't think I'm a particularly good cook or an artist or a playwright or all these things I try on a regular basis. I don't even think I'm particularly smart in any way. But what I've always been really good at is connecting people and finding a creative solution to life's problems, especially the problem of finding and building a community. Anyway, flashback to about 15 years ago, I decided to take time off of the design firm I owned, and I wanted to go back to film school. It sounded exciting at the time. So I came back from New York, and I wanted to find the film community in Washington. I knew it existed. I knew it was big. Nat Geo, Discovery, BET, they were all based here. I knew there was a lot of film happening, and I knew there was a burgeoning indie film community. It was popping up. Digital video just began. But when I went to find people, it was very stealth. They were better suited for the CIA than CAA. And I really just couldn't find it. The only time anyone seemed to come out of their shell was a once-a-month happy hour, which was nice and a little drunken and not a place for me to find a community. And a community is what we all want, right? We all want to belong to something. And most of us find communities based on where we live or who we work with, right? Sometimes it's our religious affiliation, sometimes it's our hobbies. And there's infinite ways for us to be part of a community. Some people, and community building is usually, it's pretty automatic. I'm here, they're there, together we're a community. You know, and some people have just a few communities they belong to, others belong to lots and lots. But what happens if the community you want doesn't exist, or it's really hard to find? Well, you can either sit in the dugout and hope for something to happen, or you can step up to the plate and take a swing. So I decided to take a swing. I was fortunate enough to win a condo in an artist live-work situation. And literally underneath me was a theater space that wasn't being used. So I called up the filmmakers I did know, and I said, let's get together. Let's see what we can do. So they came, and instead of sitting around a bar, we sat in a circle and we talked about filmmaking and what we wanted to do and the projects we wanted to work on. Instead of lifting a glass, we lifted each other's spirits and our knowledge base. And pretty soon, we started meeting regularly, and we dubbed it the DC Film Salon. Back to that housing thing. So it's amazing. I was thrown into a situation living with 11 other artists that I never knew before I got until move-in day. The unintended benefit of throwing us together was this sense of community that was built. 6 of us had become so close, we actually vacation together, we take holidays together. It's like living in Melrose Place. It's a little weird, but it's a lot of fun. But what we started really doing is all of a sudden I started going to more art openings, and the visual artists started going to more theater, and the theater people started going to more dance. And then we would start going together, and we would meet other artists. And next thing you know, we have this group that is affectionately called the Mathers. And when we walk into an art exhibit, people go, "It's the Mathers," which I guess is a good thing. But we built this community of artists that is not just based where we are, but other artists. Many of them are here tonight. Sorry. Anyway, so after a few years, I decided I needed to make a film. I got that itch. Every once in a while, I get an itch to do something. And so I called some of the friends I had just met at the salon and said, let's make something. And in 2 weeks, I created a film called Cyberslut. Then it was a titillating and taboo film about finding sex on the internet. Which is probably why I did so well, and ended up playing about 50 festivals around the world. So I took a year off of what I was doing, and I decided I was going to travel because I wanted to connect and meet with audiences. So I started traveling, and I realized that film festivals were about money and parties and sponsors, but they weren't necessarily about filmmakers, and they weren't about films unless you were Woody Allen. And I'm definitely not Woody Allen. So, and it was disconcerting. I wanted to be part of question and answer sessions. I wanted to connect, and I was just handed another martini, and I just couldn't find that community I wanted. So it all changed when I went to Ashland, Oregon, of all places. It was towards the end of my festival circuit, and it was their first year of doing a festival. They didn't know what they were doing, which is probably why it worked. They couldn't throw a con-style party if they tried. a little mountain town. But if you could get there, they housed you and they fed you and they made sure you saw every movie. And they threw you in situations where you actually got to talk to other filmmakers and you got to talk to the audience members. It was so incredible. I still talk to people I met there that weekend. I still go to Ashland every year. It's an incredible experience. So when I came back to DC, I called some of the people from the salon, including my friend Gene, and said, I want to start a film festival. And Gene's like the Ethel to my Lucy, and he just was like, okay. So we called everyone we knew, and all the filmmakers I had met that year, and said, send us your films. And within like a month, we got 78 DVDs and VHS tapes. Remember VHS tapes? This is how long ago it was. So from that, we took 2 months, and we planned this festival out. We were going to show 33 films over the course of a day. We invited about 24 filmmakers to come to town. And we were going to do it at the theater underneath me. And I thought to myself, I had to sell 200 tickets to make this work. I was paying for it out of my own pocket. And what if no one shows? What if all 24 filmmakers show up and there's no place to put them? They have to stay in my 800 square foot apartment with 1 bathroom. You know, and will the salon survive if this doesn't work? Well, I was nervous, and as well I should have been. But when the box office opened that day, I was shocked to see a line out the door and around the corner. There were so many people who wanted to get in. We found extra chairs, another 30 chairs, and shoved them into Flashpoint as fast as we could, breaking every fire code in Washington. Thank God Ann Corbett's not here today. So, and when the lights went down, I got nervous, because what if they didn't like it? What if the filmmakers hated the films? What if the audience couldn't connect? But when the lights went up, the cheers were incredible. I started to cry. Okay, if you calm down. Anyway, it was amazing, and it was the birth of DC Shorts. Last year, DC Shorts showed 145 films from 23 countries in 11 days at 4 different venues around town. We're now the 3rd largest short film festival in the country, the largest outside of California. We've been named by Movie Maker magazine as one of the most important film festivals in the country, and City Paper readers love us. We always win an award through the City Paper. As much as they always are snarky to us, but whatever. They're snarky to everyone, right? Anyway, so after a few years of running the festival and in the salon still, my accountant said, you're not Bill Gates. You can't do this anymore. You got to figure something out. So I figured I needed a nonprofit shell to put this all together. I wanted to create an organization in which anyone who wanted to make film or video in Washington had resources to do it, whether you had worked in this industry for 25 years or you were just thinking about buying your first camera. But how do I build a community that's so vast? So I called the heads of the film offices in Maryland, Virginia, and DC. I called the heads of the unions. I called the heads of the few film organizations that were in town. I called a bunch of production companies and anyone else who I think I could get into a room. And I made them all sit down. And about 25 showed up. And I realized at that meeting, this was the first time all these people had been in the same room together, ever. It was remarkable. And they talked about the industry, and they talked about what they were doing and what was missing. And we said, okay, well, we're going to fill in the gap here. And from that meeting, the DC Film Alliance's mission was formed, and the basis of our programming set. So now the DC Film Alliance, 6 years later, we have a weekly email that goes out to about 8,500 people in the area, listing every film event in Washington, job listings and castings. We have a database of 3,000 resources you need to make film and video within the region. We help with the 85 film festivals we have between Baltimore and Richmond. We have more film festivals in Washington, D.C. than anywhere else in the country. And we provide these resources, for the most part, for free. So I'm not a great filmmaker or an artist or all this other stuff. What I am pretty good at is connecting. I connect people with each other. I connect new ways of thinking with new ways to work. I put together organizations and companies. And the truth is, and through that, I'm able to help build communities. And the truth is, to be a great connector, all you really need is an honest smile, an empathetic ear, and the desire to really want to change. So Margaret Mead, I think, said it best. I'm going to paraphrase this because I'm going to screw it up, but never underestimate what a small, thoughtful, committed group of people can do to change the world. Well, I ask you, join me. Let's connect. Let's make community. Thank you.